This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen Spiderhead, a new science fiction, comedy, drama, thriller type deal from director Joseph Kosinski. Spiderhead is the name of a secret penitentiary where convicts are serving time by participating in medical experiments, being given injections that alter their mental and emotional states of mind. Jeff, an inmate, is particularly favored by Project Overseer Steve, whose hospitable nature seems to go against the increasingly dangerous chemicals being tested. Jeff is made part of a love drug experiment, which leads to a tragic outcome when he is made to choose whether or not one of his partners is given an injection causing physical and mental pain. As a result of this, Jeff soon discovers the truth of the facility, and he must not only determine if he should resist any future experimentation, but also if he even can. This is admittedly an interesting sci-fi premise, but it goes a bit wayside almost right away. That is, it opens with a decent amount of setup of its ideas and builds up the world quite enough, but it does this in a way that ignores setting up the actual story. There are a few narrative elements and character setups, but it doesn't really kick into an actual plotline until maybe 30 minutes in. Even then, it's still stretched out a bit thin, with actual story moments coming in waves, alternating with character development. A romantic subplot is also stretched thin because of this, with little actual substance to it other than two people being stuck in a similar situation. Whenever actual story advancement and progression happens, it almost feels contrived or shoved into the movie because it has to happen. One noticeable element of this is how the movie operates on the idea of emotion-altering drugs, but only ever shows the drugs that are important to the story. The credits do say that this movie is based on a short story, and it really feels like that at times, as if a first draft of the script were only an hour long and they needed to put in some filler material. The actual acting suffers from this weaker script, with the main cast pretty much being relegated to simplistic roles within the greater narrative. They do all give good performances for what it's worth, but it's in service to flat characters that aren't necessarily worth the effort. On the technical side of things, the movie does at least look like it was put together well. Set pieces are big but sparse, reflecting the low number of people within the actual Spiderhead facility, but also just making for some empty shots at a few times. There are some nice cinematography choices, mostly in beauty shots of nature or in a few wide shots that show off the architecture. And at the very least, it does try to make what you see interesting, even when nothing is happening. The setting is believable as a facility, but being pretty is still not enough to cover the film's other flaws. Editing doesn't help much either, pacing the film out in a slow manner, probably to help pad the already light story. There's also a bit of an issue with the film's tone, where it starts out with a more comedic edge with dramatic elements, then shifts into a more traditional thriller after a certain point. That in itself is fine, but the ending of the film tries to bring back the comedy elements, and it pretty much falls on its face trying, as if it just comes out of nowhere. It really just feels like another part of the film's writing and pacing issues. The final result that is this movie is a bit of a slog, and doesn't have much to show for it anyways. Hell, I'd bet that this movie could have lost 10 minutes of runtime in its editing, and it would have felt like a tighter experience. Maybe. Spiderhead, Joseph Kosinski, 2022. 2 stars. I wouldn't really recommend watching it. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I do wish they would have at least written out a list of the different emotional chemicals and hinted at what the others could be. See, that would be nice and subtle world building.